think I got some great pictures.
We're in a really good spot.
Oh, isn't that old train fantastic?
Do you know who invented the locomotive?
Huh? Let me see. If I can remember...
James Watt?
No. James Watt invented the steam engine. Wait, now I remember. It was George Stephenson.
George Stephenson? Who was he?
I'm not too sure.
You mean all you know is his name?
Hey, why don't we ask Jeannie? George Stephenson. Okay, here we go.
Hi, kids! So, you don't know very much about George Stephenson. Anyway, you were right. George Stephenson was responsible for developing the steam-driven locomotive. This is a typical coal mine in England at the end of the 19th century. Before extracting the coal, the layer of underground water must be drawn up with a pump, and this pump is powered by a steam engine.
That's the new steam engine, huh? Is it working all right?
It should. It's a new model.
Impressive, eh?
Mind if I have a look?
Perhaps you can understand how it works.
Who knows?
Meet George Stephenson. He's fascinated by all this. As a child, he would spend hours just watching his father shoveling coal into the old model steam engine.
There's something definitely wrong with this machine. I have the feeling it's going to stop working.
Would you mind telling me how an ordinary coal stoker can be such an expert?
Right, we're engineers. We know better than you. Get out of the way. Strange noise.
Ah, what's wrong? Why isn't it working?
You see, I told you it was going to stop.
We'd better notify the director immediately.
What am I going to do now? This is an absolute catastrophe. That machine cost me a fortune.
Excuse me, I was wondering, sir.
Yes, what is it?
I'd like to repair the machine, sir, with your permission, of course.
Who, you? What makes you think you can fix it when my two engineers have already been at it for over 5 hours? Get back to work now.
But I'm certain I can repair it, sir.
You're that sure of yourself?
I know I can repair it, sir.
Go on, then. What have I got to lose? Don't break it further.
Don't worry, sir.
Woo! The first steam engine goes back to the end of the 17th century. It was then perfected by James Watt at the end of the 18th century. The force of the steam makes the machine function. As a child, George was already interested in the steam engine. But since his family was very poor, he couldn't go to school, and it wasn't until the age of 18 that he finally learned to read. Reading helped him to better understand how these machines that fascinated him functioned.
Well, it's time to try and see if it works. Whoa! Well done! Oh, good work, George. I'm proud of you. Congratulations.
The director was so happy with George's work, he made him chief engineer. Hey, George, now that you've repaired the machine, the mine is digging up more coal than ever before, eh?
Yes, I know. But what good is it to anyone? Look at all that coal waiting to be transported. We've got to think of a way to get the coal shipped out more rapidly.
He's right. Horse-drawn wagons are not the fastest things around. Hey, don't you think you can go just a little bit faster? It's going to take ages to get to town.
I can't pull any faster, and if I can't, no other animal can. The load's too heavy.
But there's nothing stronger than horsepower.
And what's wrong with the steam engine? Why don't they use that?
Oh, no. That's only for getting the water up.
I'm exhausted.
Hey, he's got lots of horse sense.
Why, yes, that's an excellent idea. Yes, it should work. According to my calculations, we should be able to use the energy supplied by the steam engine
To pull the coal wagons. Right, George? Huh?
Right, exactly. A sort of steam-driven vehicle.
If it works, we'll have a vehicle much faster and much more powerful than a horse.
What are you doing, Father?
I'm trying to design a steam-operated vehicle for transporting coal.
Would you tell me how it works?
If I can transmit the movement of the pistons to the wheels, the vehicle should be able to go forward, but that's a little complicated. Perhaps when you finish school, you can help me. Would you like that?
Oh, that would really be great, Father!
Good, son.
Actually, George Stephenson wasn't the first person to have this idea. Another English engineer by the name of Trevithick had invented a steam-operated coach. At that time, steam engines were enormous in size and supplied very little power. Trevithick tried to improve it by using a system of forced pulling. This system activated the carbon's combustion and therefore produced more steam. And so, the engine he developed was much smaller and more powerful. In 1808, he demonstrated his new steam-operated coach. Well, back to the drawing board. Then, one day in 1813...
Hey, George, come on out. It seems they're going to try out a steam locomotive at the mine.
A steam locomotive?
Hey, man, you don't honestly think that this locomotive's going to pull all those wagons, do you?
Beats me.
It won't do any faster than the horse would.
I'll bet you it breaks down.
It doesn't cost anything to watch, does it?
I'll bet this machine breaks the rail.
Hey, look, there it goes.
It won't get very far, mark my words.
It'll never replace the horse.
Hey, I think this time it's going to work.
You see, I told you it wouldn't go far.
Now that's disappointing. I really thought it would work this time.
The horse may not be perfect, but nothing will ever replace it.
Let's get back to work.
Well, Mr. Stephenson, do you also think that it's impossible?
No, Jeannie, I'm convinced that one day we're going to build a steam-run locomotive that works, and soon after, we'll hear them whistling throughout England.
Stephenson studied the defects of previous locomotives. In the case of Trevithick's machine, the piston's movements were transmitted to the wheels with toothed gearings. The piston pushed by the steam must transmit a movement to the wheels, which keep the machine running on the rails. Another inventor, Blenkinsop, felt that the wheels could slide along the rail, and he designed a rack system. But the friction was far too great and prevented the locomotive from accelerating. Stephenson worked feverishly on these problems. He retained the system of transmission by rods, but he decided not to utilize the racks. He coupled the main wheel to the others with the help of a metal bar. In this way, they were all carried along, And in 1814, he developed a new steam-run vehicle, the Blücher. At the same time, plans were underway to lay tracks between Darlington and Stockton to facilitate the transportation of coal in horse-drawn wagons. Stephenson convinced the people of the region to establish a railway line instead. And in 1825, he demonstrated a new locomotive. The Locomotion was the latest invention from the workshop of George and Robert Stephenson. And of course, George was the conductor. The locomotive was set to pull 6 wagons of coal and 28 passenger cars, making 34 wagons in all.
Do you honestly think this locomotion's going to be able to pull 34 wagons at once? That's a tremendously heavy load.
Supposing the boiler explodes.
Oh, no!
Hey, I'm going to race against this locomotion on my horse.
All right. Are you ready? Off we go!
Kind of shaky up here.
Can't you go any faster?
Hey, I see.
There it goes. The horse is still ahead. Gonna catch up? The horse is still ahead. Oh, no. He's never gonna go fast.
Hey, look, I'm out in front. That locomotion of his will never catch up with me. Oh, river. Now that isn't fair at all. Sure, that machine doesn't have to worry about getting wet up there on the rails, but my horse has to swim for it. Oh, no thanks. I'd rather lose the race than get soaked to my skin.
Too bad, you lose. The race against the horse was over, but the locomotion kept going.
They haven't arrived.
There they are!
We're coming into Stockton train station.
Ah, they've done it. Here they come.
Oh, hooray!
Our heartiest congratulations, Mr. Stephenson. It's a total success.
Yes, the entire city thanks you from the bottom of its heart.
It's I who must thank you for never having lost confidence in my efforts.
Fine. We can thank each other.
He's done it! He's done it!
Achoo! I'm as black as coal and I've got soot all over. Anyway, it's fantastic. This is the first time that a locomotive has ever gone over 8 miles an hour. And who knows, soon we might even reach 12. It was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. New machines were being built, and factory production greatly increased. But the transporting of these new products was still very slow, and industrialists were searching for new methods. The city of Manchester was connected to the port of Liverpool by canals. Cotton, linen, and other fabrics were usually transported by boat. But in winter, the canal was often frozen over. One day, Stephenson received the visit of a delegation that wanted to construct a 20-mile railway line linking Manchester with Liverpool. Some members of the delegation had witnessed the locomotion trials. Stephenson, along with his son Robert, worked together and built another locomotive, which they called the Rocket. The Rocket's motor was more powerful because they had transformed the boiler so that it could produce more steam. They began surveying the region as the first step in the construction of the railroad line.
Oh! Father, what's going on?
Be careful, son, they're armed. Get out of here!
That's right! We want you to leave. This is our land!
We don't want a try.
You heard him. We don't want it.
You don't understand.
No, Roberts, come on, let's go.
It wasn't easy to convince people of the benefits of a railroad. Some people had the false impression that the sparks coming out of the chimney would damage their harvest and cause fires. Farmers were afraid that their sheep and their chickens would be run over by the train. And the ship transport companies were afraid of the competition the train represented. They put pressure on the Parliament, and the construction of the railway line was suspended. But in 1828, Parliament, finally convinced of the project's importance, gave Stephenson the go-ahead.
It's muddy.
It's more like a swamp. We'll never be able to construct anything on this.
Hey, you're not going to throw in the towel now, are you? Not after all we've been through. Well, in that case, I'll go on alone.
No, I'm not going to give up now, son.
You know I couldn't do it without you, Father.
Years later, the railroad line between Manchester and Liverpool was completed. The company that had financed the work organized a nationwide locomotive competition. The winning locomotive would be used on the line. Let's have a look at the contestants. The Peerless, a good name for something so original looking, the Perseverance, and the people's favorite, the Novelty.
Nice machine.
Yes, I bet 2 pounds on it.
I bet a lot more than that.
Here's our favorite, right? The Rocket, built by George and Robert Stephenson.
Hasn't got a chance. The chimney's too high. It's bound to slow it down.
I'm not too certain. I shouldn't have bet on that one.
It's canary yellow. What a horrible colour.
Each locomotive had to travel a distance of 80 miles, making 10 round trips over level ground. The Perseverance and the Peerless broke down during the trials and were out of the running.
You see, I was right.
Now let's watch the Novelty ride to victory.
I hope it doesn't break down before the race is over.
Oh, it's off and running!
Come on, you can do it, Novelty!
I bet on the wrong horse.
Oh, I lost more than you did.
I knew I should have changed my bet.
Everyone else has lost, but Stephenson hasn't won yet. Hey, I just wanted to wish you good luck.
Thank you, Jeannie.
It's the Rocket.
Woo! Woo!
You know, I think we've earned it.
So do I. It was a long uphill struggle, but today makes it all worth it, son.
The Rocket was the fastest locomotive of its time, able to travel at 25 miles an hour. Soon after, in 1830, the railroad line between Manchester and Liverpool was inaugurated. George Stephenson kept perfecting his locomotive. And the railroad spread very quickly throughout Great Britain. In 1850, there were more than 6,000 miles of track, and by 1890, the number had increased to 20,000. In the United States, in 1850, there were 8,000 miles of track, then 50,000, then 150,000, and in 1920, America had 250,000 miles of track. In 1854, during an official government visit, the United States presented Japan with a scale model of a steam-operated locomotive. In 1872, the city of Sinbashi was linked to the city of Yokohama by the first Japanese railway line. "40 years after its birth, the steam engine locomotive carried passengers all over the world. And the Japanese could go from Sinbashi to Yokohama by train in 54 minutes. On foot, it took an entire day to walk those 15 miles. Today, the steam-powered locomotive has been replaced by locomotives with diesel or electric motors, and train lines have been built throughout the entire world. Bye!
Wow, the locomotive really developed quickly as a means of transportation. Huh? Where did she go? Where's Kim? Hello, who's there?
Yoo-hoo, it's me!
Hey, where are you? I've been looking all over for you.
You'll never guess I'm on a linear motor train.
A linear motor train?
It's a monorail of the future. It's comfortable and very fast, too. You can even make a video phone call without leaving your seat. Fantastic, huh?
Stephenson would have found this hard to believe.
I'll say goodbye now. There's a film I want to see. So long.
What? You mean you can even see a film on the train?
Yep. See you later.
Ow!